Hello, I'm Bloomfield Township Supervisor Dani Walsh, and I'd like to welcome you to this very special episode of Bloomfield in Focus. After a 5-year hiatus, the Bloomfield Township Open House returned on Sunday, October 1st, and I was on hand to bring you this episode on location. We'll relive the events of the day and meet some Township employees along the way. If you missed this year's event, I hope you look at all of the family-friendly festivities, and it encourages you to visit us next year. First up, we'll meet Lieutenant Fire Inspector Ryan Morin, who led a demonstration on fire safety in the kitchen. So today we're here at the open house. It's our big event that we've brought back, and one of the highlights, because this is based around Fire Safety Week, is our open house burn that we do at the fire station. So today I have Lieutenant Fire Inspector Ryan Morin with me, who can kind of cover what we all just got to see, and for those that aren't here, he can give us some special messages. So I'm going to hand off the mic. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So first start talking. It seems like, you just set it up, it goes, and all is done. What goes into an event like this?
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes to prepare for an event like this. We have a ton of people that help us out with this. It's not one person or 4 people that can do this. It takes a team to be able to do this. During the live event, we had firefighters that were physically putting the fire out, but we had everybody else that was working inside all the different tables. We have meetings with multiple sets of groups. On top of planning for just the open house, we also plan for the safety for the open house. So there's a group that meets for that as well. So they set up safety, security, barricades, everything. So many months of work go into just a 4-hour event, just to try our best to make it look seamless and provide the best that we can to the community.
So first we had out here an oven where you showed some of our cooking mistakes that a lot of us do. It might result in a fire sometimes. So if you could help those that weren't here, what are some of the lessons that you taught today that you'd like everyone to know?
Yeah, so we do a live burn demonstration to help teach the public and to teach everybody what they should do and what they shouldn't do when they have a fire. This year's focus throughout Fire Prevention Week, as we have banners around the stations, is all about cooking safety. So when it comes to cooking safety, one of the major things we see are fires that start on the stove or in the oven. When we talk about the ones on the stove, many times it's because someone is leaving that pot or leaving that soup or leaving that whatever they were going to fry unattended. They leave the room and then a fire occurs. So for us, we try to demonstrate. We had a mobile station that we moved out, which was a stove. It had a burner built into it, that we can show what would happen if you did some of these things. So we showed the public, one, what we would want them to do, which is if there's a small fire in there, in this pot, we want you to, if you feel comfortable, just set the lid on top of it. Once you do that, turn off the heat. After you turn off the heat, leave the house, and after you're out of the house, call 911. That's simple.
And then you have a larger one behind us, also related to cooking. What went on wrong? What did the person do wrong here to make it go much larger than the fire?
Yeah. So
feel free to point
yeah.
out.
So as we talked earlier, as part of what we showed what to do, we also put some water on this grease fire, which is something you should never do. So we had a firefighter at a safe distance dump some water on top of the stove, and what happens is that water expands greatly, and then we get a giant fireball that comes out of that. So we tell people we don't want them to put any water on that. We don't want them to move the pan. Simply, if they feel comfortable and it's contained just to the pan itself, you can put a lid on it that's tight-fitting, turn off the heat, leave the house, call 911. When we talk about what happened back here, as you can see, a lot of the remnants, and they did overhaul. Our firefighters put the fire out and then made sure there was no hot spots there. But what happened was we had the counters had all kinds of combustible materials on them. We had combustibles next to there, so boxes, maybe it's somebody had a dish rag or maybe an oven mitt or something they left on top of that stove. And what happens is when they're cooking, they leave, and sometimes fires start that way. So for this demonstration, we had a lot of combustibles within that 3-foot distance where we want it to be clear. So it caught fire, caught the stove, and then it progressed from there very rapidly.
In addition to some of the fire safety, inside we had some amazing information as well, one of which, close to my heart, is recruiting for the firefighters. A lot of kids, they know that college is an option, military is an option. They often don't know police, fire, skilled trades. So one thing that you have that's special here is the Fire Tech program. Can you take a second to talk about that for any kids that might be interested?
Our Fire Tech program is something that was started by a number of our firefighters a few years ago. And what it's intended to do is to get younger recruits into our fire station, have them work around us, go to our trainings, do different things, and assist us and get to know what it's like to be a Bloomfield Township firefighter. So when they do that, they get exposed to all the different avenues and all the different options that we have within the fire service. That's not just putting out fires. We specialize in many different entities and areas, and we have teams that do all that kind of stuff, from hazmat, technical rescue, emergency management. We have all kinds of training for all these different groups. So it gives them an opportunity to get exposed to things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to. So this program, we then have these firefighters go to, or have these fire techs go to school, and then they can, once they're done, they can apply to the station, or apply to the fire department, and try to become a Bloomfield Township firefighter.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And again, if anybody's interested, reach out. And thank you both to you. And I believe we also had our fire safety on here was Lieutenant Leeds. At Leeds. Yes. So thank you to you both. But I know this is a huge undertaking. This took days for them to set up. So if you were here, I'm sure you saw it. If not, make sure to reach out and learn what you can about our fire department. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lieutenant Morin.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Next up is Sergeant Tom Smiley, who takes us inside the police station, and dispatcher Stacy Pratcher with some information on the department's connection to Special Olympics Michigan to promote inclusion.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Smiley. Welcome to our police station tour. This right here is the Intoxilizer 9000. It's been replacing the data master throughout the state of Michigan this last year. And basically when someone is arrested for drunk driving, we bring them in, and this is our part of our booking process for drunk driving, and we do breath tests with this machine, and it'll give us your breath alcohol level, and that's what the courts will use to determine innocence or guilt. And once we have your level, we'll look up onto this chart, and based on your level, you have to stay with us a certain amount of hours until someone becomes sober again. The legal limit in the state of Michigan is 0.08. Over here we have our electronic fingerprint machine. That's part of the booking process as well. It used to be 20 years ago. We did cardstock and ink. That's no longer the case. Now everything is digitized and electronic now. So we'll take your fingerprints on that machine over there and send it off to Michigan State Police, and it becomes part of the database and is shared nationwide. So it's very helpful. In case we don't know who someone is, we can take fingerprints, and we'll usually have a pretty good match pretty quickly once they're in the system. So, and lastly, we have our feet on the ground and the camera up on the wall, and that's where we'll take the mug shot or the booking photo. We'll take, front and side for everyone that is arrested. So not a fun room, but a necessary one.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Chief's son. Oh!
I help fundraise for Special Olympics of Michigan, myself and specifically Detective McGraw from the department. Special Olympics, one of their main points is for inclusion, and that's what they're trying to promote, is inclusion. So as a member of the police department, we not only fundraise for the law enforcement torch run, we also participate in the polar plunge, which is in the winter, obviously. I have plunged several times. We go to White Lake, and last year the air temperature was 1 degree. But everything is worth it. I will do anything to help out the athletes. Today at the open house, we had a dunk tank, and we actually invited some of the athletes to help us fundraise and to meet people so they could actually give their own story on why it's important to raise money for Special Olympics. The chief was in the dunk tank. His kids may have pushed the button several times to dunk him. Again, it's for a great cause. I'm so happy that the chief agreed to be in the dunk tank. We had our social worker who volunteered to be in the dunk tank. We also had a reporter in the dunk tank. So many people who were willing to participate and help out Special Olympics. I thought it was great. Interacting with the people who wanted to come up and dunk and all the little kids who were so happy. We fundraised over $1,000 today for Special Olympics, which is just heartwarming.
Finally, let's meet Kate Bell to talk about Bowers Farm, as well as look at highlights from our other community partners at the open house.
I am here from Bowers School Farm today with Marty, this calf. He's 3 months old. We are here today to bring the farm to the party. This is the Bloomfield Township open house, and Bowers School Farm always loves doing things within our community. So we're here to bring a little bit of farm to the fun. The open house is such a cool thing to have in Bloomfield Township because, I mean, look around the communities here. You get to see the fire trucks and the big old trucks that do all the big things. Plus you get a chicken and a cow and everything else. The nature center's here, it brings the community together. We're here from the farm, but you can come and see us at the farm. We have a program called Open Barn. It's on the weekends, and in the month of October and in May, we're open on Sundays as well. Otherwise, it's Saturdays from 9 to 3. And you can get a tractor ride, get some farm fresh foods, and get to see all of our farm animals. The farm does close down a little bit in the winter because things get cold and icy, right? But we have a program and an event called Winter Park, which is all the way of January and February, where you get to come and check out the big sled hill and other cool winter experiences. Check the website, schoolfarm.org, for more information.
The Bloomfield Township open house is awesome.
Thank you so much to everyone who helped make our Township Open House a success. I loved every second of this event. And thank you especially to the two people that were stuck with me all day on location, Damon and Aya. You were amazing, and I appreciate you. And thank you so much to everybody who watched this episode of Bloomfield in Focus.